So we got our first screen output, our first basic UI, even though it's of course neither helpful nor pretty, but it's a start. We achieved this by combining the Material app and text widgets and passing that widget combination in the end to Material app. Now you might notice that there are some blue squiggly lines below that code. Now in Visual Studio Code, blue squiggly lines, as we have them here, mean that there isn't an error, but there is some improvement potential. The code is not optimal or it does something that should be changed. And you can hover over the code that has these squiggly lines to learn more about the problem. And if you scroll down in that info box, because the messages are always at the bottom, you see that here the recommendation is that we should use const with the constructor to improve performance, whatever const is. Well, we can get rid of these blue squiggly lines by adding const in front of Material app. But what is this const thing? Well, const is a keyword. As you can also tell by its color, it has the same color as void and import. So it's a keyword provided by Dart, built into the Dart language. And const is a keyword and a feature that exists to help Dart optimize the runtime performance of your application. And how does it do that? Well, if you mark something as const, let's say a text widget that you're using in your app, then this text widget will be stored internally in the memory of the device on which the app runs. And that will always be the case, no matter if you use const or not. Once your code executes, the things that are created by your code, the widgets for example, will be stored in the device memory. But with const, when you then use that same widget with the same text a second time in the app, that existing memory thing will be reused instead of a second memory object being created. So therefore, using const allows Dart to reuse values that are indeed equal and avoids the duplication of data in memory, hence making your app more memory efficient and improving overall performance. Of course, behind the scenes, things are a bit more complex, but that is in a nutshell what's happening. And that's why you should always add const when prompted for it. Now, the good thing is, you don't need to learn by heart in front of which widgets you should add const, for example. Instead, your code editor will simply tell you by adding these blue squiggly lines here. And then you should indeed add const. Of course, for this basic app, it doesn't really make a difference. We're not reusing this combination of widgets anywhere, so marking it as const won't give us any big advantages here, but it also doesn't hurt. And it's simply a best practice to use const in front of all the values where you can use it. And as you saw, using it in the right places is very simple because your code editor simply tells you. It, for example, also tells you if you're using it in a place where you should remove it. For example, here, if I add it in front of Material app and in front of text, then I get a message here that I'm using const unnecessarily in this place because I'm already using it in front of Material app, which then contains text. So using it in front of text in addition to that is simply redundant and therefore should be removed. But that's in the end what const does. It allows Dart to run your application in a more efficient way.